I'm examining the use of social media in cases of family crisis and trauma to gain community support. I've researched the emotional, practical, and psychological benefits of social networking sites and computer-mediated communication support available in a family crisis versus traditional or offline support networks. I've utilized journalistic and academic treatments as well as my own real-life experience to consider overall benefits, limits, and risks to use and functionality of social media support during familial crisis. I chose this topic when I read in my local newspaper about a teenage boy, Jacob Quackenbush, who you can see in the video, who collapsed on a soccer field. The article focused on how this tragic event affected his family, friends, and community, listing ways and means to support them, including Facebook page for family and public, Twitter hashtag to send support messages, bank account to donate money, and details of a church fundraiser. This tragedy grabbed the entire community and still does. The latest update, he's off dialysis, improving, but still in hospital. Brown County High School principal Shane Killiger said, "You can just tell it's brought everybody together more." The article stated the family's wish to preserve their privacy while thanking our community for their overwhelming support. This case perfectly illustrates the delicate balance between eliciting help needed for the family, the community's desire to help, and the need for boundaries between the two. 1 out of every 15 members of the community follows the Facebook page. This digital support network mimics their real-life support network. Jacob is a well-liked athlete, the family are active church members, and have an extended family and huge network of friends in our community. Virtual communities are a consequence of globalization and the network society. Community is no longer necessarily spatial, but instead is now much more socially derived. Strong community roots stem from fulfillment of needs, shared purpose, connection, and membership. These are building blocks of community in both CMC and face-to-face conversations. The outcome of globalization is the network society, as explained in Castell's theory, where social capital is an item of currency in both the digital and real-world network societies. The fundamental break in geographic constraints eliminates the power structure of locality, empowering the network society. This leads to what my scholarly research turned up on the subject. 2 words are consistently found here: social capital. Our text defines social capital as the people we know and the relationships we have with them, and to the kinds of benefits we get out of being associated with these people. My scholarly research indicates the strength of the social network in a crisis is correlated to access to social capital, which helps to manage transitional outcomes. Social capital of participant and subject are raised via SNS during temporary separation from local established community networks. Other advantages to CMC support and research include access to expert and fresh information, reduced dependency on primary caregivers, benefits of therapeutic disclosure, and less isolation. Journalistic articles all carry a caveat to this support. Online support is a complement to, not a replacement for, real-life support. CMC should be used with care. As Hupke states, we've been told by studies that our online relationships are isolating us, that the social part of social media is a misnomer. I call them the friends who live inside my phone. In Hupke's article, celebrities rallied to support a Twitter friend, raising money quickly and awareness of the family's need. This supports Ronaldson's theory of globalization as a closer, more connected and compressed world through new media, where movers and shakers we do not normally encounter on a personal level lend a hand and high visibility to support someone in need. This amounts to CMC support increasing social capital of high value, impossible for most people in their real-life networks. Marsh questions in his article, "Is Facebook making us lonely?" Are lonely people attracted to Facebook? He states more accessibility to digital communities appears to be further isolating us to friends on screens rather than friends on porches or living rooms. Marsh finds we are outsourcing our care. More connection, less contact, with Americans lonelier than ever and more connected than ever. There's also the risk of becoming so entwined in your identity as being in crisis or trauma that it overtakes your identity outside this arena. Turkle is concerned with becoming so preoccupied with the self in this identity, we alter our real-life identity to suit the SNS projected image. In this instance, the risk is identifying too strongly as a victim or someone unable to cope without an army of support. Turkle also recognizes the therapeutic effect of the freedom of new media to explore the self without constraints of local community. We can reinvent ourselves to suit the circumstance of grief or wellness at any stage. Overall, social networking can increase social capital and bonding, but the cost may be addictive narcissism and an increased sense of loneliness if used with unrealistic expectations without proper boundaries. Used in conjunction with existing networks, social capital can greatly increase bridging and bonding the digital and real networks to max out their access to support in times of crisis. In my own personal experience, I found SNS and CMC valuable sources I found SNS and CMC valuable sources of support in the aftermath of trauma. The big advantage was time. I could access at any time, find support when friends were in bed sleeping. There was a freedom for me in sharing with others who had experienced the same tragedy. I could let my guard down. I found practical advice as well as emotional support I couldn't find anywhere else. It was part of my day to check into the closed group united by surviving the suicide of a loved one. I had concerns about my identity getting too wrapped up in being a widow. However, I learned that it is part of my experience and me who I am surviving suicide. I very rarely access the website now, but regularly keep in touch with people I came in contact with from the site. We all still offer words of encouragement to each other. I've joined a local site now that I'm further along the path of recovery to offer support rather than receive. I also facilitate a survivors of suicide group in my community to offer support, resources, and information to those who find themselves surviving the trauma of suicide.